How do you respond to people who say WEF is just a talk shop?
I don't think so. I would be disappointed in that perspective. Perhaps more so as one now in the deep end as co-chair, one of 6 co-chairpersons. Eskom has been, this is the 21st WEF on African soil, as you know, and Eskom has been part of all 21. But of significance is the fact that the WEF is a forum where you come, and generally you come because you're going to be exposed to an insight that you haven't come across. And it's going to make you go, aha, and it's going to make you go back and reflect. And this year's kind of aha moment has been what I see to be consensus. Speaker after speaker, starting with the president of the country when the WEF opened in plenary, starting with the sessions that the Minister of Finance had with counterparts and other decision makers. The consensus is that a true new era has dawned for Africa. That the next decade or two, you will be able to see an Africa that is able to pursue opportunities much more vigorously than previously. But most importantly, and I think that is the aha moment, the African success story has been quantified in numbers. We're now clear that it is currently a $1 trillion US dollar opportunity in terms of size of GDP. We're now clear that it is going to evolve between now and 2020, actually double in size from that 1 trillion to 2.2, 2.4 trillion US dollars. We're also now clear that the spending power of this 1 billion consumers on the African continent, those that have got, in fact, we're also clear that there's more disposable income than, and so forth. And so that $1.4 trillion is the spending power that we now know. And then lastly, we also know that it's growing at 100 million people a year. Now, from where we sit, taking my hat on as part of Eskom, we are concerned that it is important, we're excited by this prospect, but we're also anxious that it's important that urgent decisions are made on the continent on investing in energy and electricity.
Let's talk to that, because obviously energy security is not just an African concern, it's an emerging market concern, because these economies are surging ahead, some growing as fast as 8 to 10%, some actually growing at that rate here in Africa. And there is a sense that we're just not doing enough to find new and steady sources of energy if we're going to continue to grow and industrialize. How is Eskom going to meet the challenge, provide solutions?
We are part of the Southern Africa Power Pool, which is the SADC community of utility managers. So the chief executives of all the 15 utilities on the continent meet there. And we're excited about the prospect, subject to final approvals, of being part of this region, which will also be significant because when you have an Eskom participating in SADC, leveraging the energy mix that is there, I mean, there's lots of hydro prospects in the region, there's lots of natural gas prospects, and other such prospects. In our own country, there's huge prospects for solar in the Northern Cape. So when you integrate this, you actually will change the face of SADC. SADC then will become the sizable market of 200 people now, growing to around 250 in 2020. And so when you do that, you will then be able to inspire other economic blocks. There's 5 other power pools in the region, in the economic blocks, to do the same.
Is there a lot of pressure on Eskom to deliver? I mean, we've been told that it provides just over 40% of Africa's energy requirements. It's one of the top 10 utilities the world over. But there is a sense that there's too much of a burden for Eskom to bear, both in terms of just commercial viability and getting these various projects underway, and in terms of generation, that it just cannot be Eskom's responsibility.
We made it clear when we came out of load shedding in April of 2008 that Eskom cannot be all things to all people in South Africa and on the continent. So we are going about our business in a very prudent manner. We now have a clear 7-year funding model for South Africa for the 3 major projects that we're busy with. There's a funding model and plan in place. And a very good inflow in terms of investments. We've just earlier this year did a good roadshow with a bond. So that we're clear about. So in SADC we'll be going on a prudent basis, opportunity by opportunity, ensuring that we leverage opportunities that are clearly, the funding models are clear, the scalability is clear, and our responsibility is clear. In South Africa, we have an IRP 2010 that has been approved by the Cabinet in March. It is very clear that Eskom is not expected to build everything that has to be built. 30% of the build moving forward is expected to be contributed by independent power producers. So Eskom will be responsible for base load and a good chunk of the 70% to ensure that South Africa is guaranteed the base load that it requires at any given time to be able to fulfill our job creation requirements. We will in the process through our supply chain cloud contribute up to 100,000 jobs through our supply chain in this journey.
A final and very brief question, and this is the criticism, is right now the lights are on purely because the economy is growing modestly, 3.2%, maybe 4% next year. When we do eventually reach that new growth path target of 6 to 7%, we just don't have sufficient capacity.
The lights are on because we invested more than R1 billion in ensuring that we enter into partnerships with large industrial consumers of energy to help us save and help us pull through this challenging phase. The lights will continue to be on next year towards September, October, when the first unit at Medupi generates 750 megawatts, and every year thereafter the lights will be on because there will be at least 2 units coming on stream. So South Africa still must save, still must use energy prudently, but we have a solution at hand.